Imagine standing face to face with a living legend, a spiritual giant who's said to hold the key to humanity's evolution. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and suddenly, you're overcome with an inexplicable urge to run away. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Today, we're diving headfirst into the electrifying, often uncomfortable world of chosen ones, those rare individuals who make us feel like spiritual amateurs at a cosmic Grand Prix. But here's the kicker. What if I told you that this intimidation is actually a hidden doorway to your own extraordinary potential? From Moses parting the Red Sea to modern gurus amassing millions of followers with a single tweet, chosen ones have captivated and confounded us for millennia. They're the spiritual prodigies, the cosmic disruptors, the walking, talking embodiments of human potential that we can't help but gawk at from a safe distance, of course. But why? Why do these gifted individuals leave us feeling like we're simultaneously in the presence of divinity and completely out of our depth? More importantly, what if this discomfort is actually the universe's way of giving us a cosmic wake-up call? The concept of chosen ones has woven its way through the tapestry of human culture for millennia. From Moses parting the Red Sea to the Buddha achieving enlightenment, from Joan of Arc leading armies to modern-day spiritual leaders guiding millions, these extraordinary individuals captivate our imagination and shape our collective consciousness. But beneath the surface of admiration lies a complex web of emotions. Today, we'll dive deep into the psychological and spiritual undercurrents that make chosen ones both magnetic and intimidating. We'll explore why these spiritual prodigies often leave us feeling conflicted, and how understanding this dynamic can lead to profound personal growth. As we start on this exploration, ask yourself, have you ever encountered someone who seemed to embody a higher purpose? How did it make you feel? Well, let's dive into the exploration of why chosen ones scare and make people feel intimidated. Chosen ones carry a burden most of us can barely fathom, the weight of humanity's future on their shoulders. This immense responsibility creates an invisible barrier between them and the rest of the world. We sense their purpose, their calling, and it sets them apart. Consider historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr. or Mahatma Gandhi. Their destinies to lead movements of monumental change isolated them from ordinary life. Even in everyday interactions, there's an underlying awareness of their greater purpose. This burden of destiny doesn't just affect the chosen ones, it impacts how we relate to them. It's like trying to casually chat with someone who's carrying a nuclear briefcase. The stakes feel too high for normal interaction. We might find ourselves hesitating to share our mundane problems or everyday thoughts, feeling they pale in comparison to the monumental tasks these individuals face. But here's a thought to ponder. Doesn't each of us, in our own way, carry a unique destiny? How might acknowledging this change our perspective on chosen ones and ourselves? Here's an uncomfortable truth. Chosen ones are a living, breathing reminder of our own untapped potential. They're the embodiment of what we could be if we fully accepted our spiritual gifts and lived up to our highest calling. Think about individuals like the Dalai Lama or Eckhart Tolle. Their presence often evokes a mix of admiration and unease. Why? Because they reflect back to us the vastness of human potential, a potential we all share but often fail to realize. This mirror effect forces us to confront our own limitations and unfulfilled possibilities, which can be deeply unsettling. It's easier to place chosen ones on a pedestal, to label them as special or different, than to acknowledge that we too might be capable of similar spiritual growth and impact. The intimidation we feel is often a reflection of our own self-doubt and unexplored capacities. But what if we reframe this? What if, instead of being intimidated, we saw chosen ones as beacons of inspiration, showing us what's possible when we fully commit to our spiritual path? Ask yourself, what hidden potential might you be avoiding by placing spiritual leaders in a category apart from yourself? Chosen ones are cosmic disruptors. They challenge the very fabric of our reality, pushing us towards evolution and change. From Jesus challenging the religious establishment to modern spiritual teachers encouraging a shift in consciousness, chosen ones often stand at odds with the prevailing worldview. But let's face it, change is scary. The chosen one represents a future unknown, and our resistance to transformation can manifest as fear or intimidation. It's more comfortable to cling to our existing beliefs and ways of life than to accept the unknown path a chosen one might be illuminating. Consider how figures like Nikola Tesla or Buckminster Fuller were often misunderstood in their time. Their visions of the future were so radical that they made many people uncomfortable. Similarly, spiritual chosen ones often present ideas that challenge our fundamental understanding of reality. This disruption isn't negative, it's a necessary catalyst for growth. but it does explain why we might feel uneasy in the presence of these changemakers. The question is, are we willing to lean into that discomfort for the sake of personal and collective evolution? There's an undeniable power dynamic at play when it comes to chosen ones. They are often perceived to have spiritual or metaphysical advantages, heightened intuition, divine connection, or even supernatural abilities. This perceived imbalance can leave us feeling inadequate, like spiritual amateurs in the presence of a grandmaster. Think about the awe and reverence people feel in the presence of figures like Sai Baba or Padre Pio, who were said to perform miracles. Or consider the respect commanded by spiritual leaders like Thich Nhat Hanh or Sadhguru, whose profound insights seem to come from a place beyond ordinary understanding. This power differential can create a sense of spiritual unworthiness in us. We might feel that our own experiences or insights pale in comparison, leading to self-doubt or even shame about our spiritual progress. But it's crucial to remember that many chosen ones speak about the inherent divinity in all beings. They often emphasize that their abilities or insights are not unique to them, but are potential within all of us. So how can we bridge this perceived power gap? Perhaps the key lies in recognizing that the power we sense in chosen ones is a reflection of the power within ourselves. Can you recall a moment when you felt a spark of that same spiritual power within you? Paradoxically, being special often means being alone. Chosen ones frequently describe a profound sense of isolation. Their unique experiences and perspectives can make it challenging to relate to others or to feel fully understood. This isolation doesn't just affect them, it affects us too. Their inability to fully integrate into normal society can make social interactions feel strained or artificial. We might find ourselves unsure how to act around them, further reinforcing the separation. Consider the lives of mystics like Julian of Norwich or St. John of the Cross. Their profound spiritual experiences set them apart, making it difficult for others to relate to them. Even modern spiritual teachers often speak about the loneliness of their journey. This separation can be intimidating because it highlights the potential cost of spiritual advancement. It raises uncomfortable questions: is profound spiritual growth always accompanied by isolation? Are we willing to potentially sacrifice belonging for enlightenment? But what if we reframed this isolation not as an unbridgeable gap, but as an invitation to elevate our own consciousness? How might our interactions with chosen ones change if we approach them with a spirit of shared journey rather than separation? Chosen ones have an uncanny knack for defying conventional wisdom. They challenge our comfortable beliefs and rock the foundations of established spiritual hierarchies. This threat to the status quo can make us defensive, as we struggle to reconcile their truths with our existing worldview. Think about how Galileo's ideas challenged the Catholic Church, or how Darwin's theory of evolution shook religious beliefs. In the spiritual realm, teachers like Jiddu Krishnamurti or Osho have presented ideas that fundamentally challenge traditional spiritual concepts. This challenge to our belief systems can be deeply unsettling. It's human nature to seek certainty and stability in our understanding of the world. When a chosen one presents ideas that contradict our long-held beliefs, it can feel like the ground is shifting beneath our feet. The intimidation we feel might actually be a fear of having to reconstruct our entire worldview. It's easier to dismiss or avoid the chosen one than to grapple with the implications of their message. But consider this isn't the willingness to question and evolve our beliefs a crucial part of spiritual growth. How might we approach these challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for expansion? There's something intimidating about standing in the presence of profound wisdom. Chosen ones often embody spiritual truths in a way that makes our own understanding feel shallow. This can trigger feelings of spiritual inadequacy or even unworthiness. Think about the profound impact of teachers like Ramana Maharshi or Paramahansa Yogananda. Their very presence seemed to convey deep spiritual truths, often without words. This embodiment of higher wisdom can make us acutely aware of our own spiritual shortcomings. However, it's important to remember that many spiritual traditions teach that this higher truth is accessible to all. The intimidation we feel might actually be a recognition of our own potential for embodying such wisdom. So instead of feeling inadequate, how might we use encounters with chosen ones as inspiration? Can we see them not as unreachable ideals, but as reminders of our own innate wisdom? When was the last time you felt a glimmer of that higher truth within yourself? In the presence of a chosen one, we might feel like we're constantly being evaluated. Are we spiritual enough? Evolved enough? This fear of being found wanting can create anxiety and discomfort, even when the chosen one isn't actually judging us at all. Consider the nervousness many people feel when meeting a respected spiritual teacher. There's often a desire to present our best spiritual self, coupled with a fear that our flaws and shortcomings will be glaringly obvious to someone of higher consciousness. This fear of judgment can be paralyzing, preventing us from fully engaging with chosen ones or even with our own spiritual path. We might avoid asking questions or sharing our experiences out of fear of appearing unspiritual. But here's a crucial point to remember: most genuine spiritual teachers emphasize non-judgment and compassion. The judgment we fear is often a projection of our own self-criticism. What if, instead of fearing judgment, we approach chosen ones with openness and authenticity? How might our spiritual growth accelerate if we were willing to be vulnerable about our struggles and questions? Interacting with a chosen one can feel like a weighty task. We might obsess over every word, fearing we'll misinterpret their guidance or somehow misuse their wisdom. This pressure can make even simple conversations feel fraught with cosmic significance. Think about the careful preservation and interpretation of words from spiritual leaders throughout history. From the sutras of the Buddha to the sermons of Jesus, followers have grappled with the responsibility of understanding and applying spiritual teachings correctly. This sense of responsibility can be intimidating. We might fear that a misunderstanding on our part could have far-reaching consequences, or we might feel pressure to live up to the teachings in a perfect way, creating stress and anxiety. However, many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of personal interpretation and application of teachings. The intimidation we feel might actually be an opportunity to engage more deeply and personally with spiritual wisdom. So how can we balance respect for spiritual teachings with the courage to engage with them authentically? Can we view our interactions with chosen ones as a dialogue rather than a one-way transmission of wisdom? The key to overcoming this intimidation lies in recognizing the humanity in chosen ones. They have doubts, fears, and flaws just like us. Many spiritual leaders openly discuss their own struggles and imperfections. Consider the teachings of Pema Chodron or Ram Dass, who often share their personal challenges as part of their spiritual instruction. This openness helps to demystify the idea of the perfect spiritual being and bridges the perceived gap between teacher and student. Understanding that we all have the potential for spiritual growth can help level the playing field. Many spiritual traditions teach that enlightenment or salvation is available to all, not just a select few. So how can we cultivate this perspective of shared humanity? Can we approach chosen ones with a spirit of kinship rather than awe? How might this shift in perspective change our spiritual journey? By reframing our perspective on chosen ones, we can transform intimidation into inspiration. Instead of distancing ourselves, we can accept the opportunity for collective evolution. Perhaps the most profound truth is this: the chosen one isn't just an external figure, it's a potential that lies dormant within each of us. Every great spiritual teacher has emphasized this point, that the divine spark, the potential for enlightenment, the capacity for profound love and wisdom exists within every human being. Our encounters with chosen ones are not meant to intimidate us, but to awaken us to our own spiritual potential. While we conclude this video, consider this: how might your spiritual journey change if you accepted the chosen one within yourself? What steps can you take today to begin actualizing your own spiritual potential? If this video sparked a light bulb moment for you, share your epiphany in the comments, and if you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button too for more such intriguing content. How will you accept your inner chosen one? Remember, the next spiritual prodigy might just be looking at you in the mirror. Are you ready to step into your own spiritual power?